Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. Love Against the Throne. Episode number 8. Chapter 37. Gemma's POV. I dreamt of frolicking in a field of flowers with my son Nicholas and the blonde-haired twins I had seen before. Nicky looked to be about 10 years old, and he looked every bit like Jeremy. He seemed overjoyed to be playing with two. The twins were overjoyed to be with Nicky. Their violet eyes looked back at me as they paused in their game. The sun was shining, and birds were chirping. It was like this field was my entire life. My 3 children and bliss. Then a shadow fell over me, and I looked to see Cassius standing just behind me looking proudly at the playing pups. Nicky looked back at us and waved. "Hi Mom, hi Dad," he shouted to us. I looked and did not see Jeremy anywhere around us. Why was he calling Cassius Dad? Then the dream shifted to the dark place I had been before. Searing pain coming from my arms as I was chained with silver. My body felt weak as wolf's bane coursed through me. A sinister voice cackled in the shadows as I felt the blood in my body go cold, and then there was nothing but darkness. My eyes flew open, and I was relieved to be in my bed with my back snuggled against the man I love. His hot breath blew onto my neck, comforting me. His strong arms held me tight as he snored softly. Sighing, I tried struggling to free myself of his protective hold. He eventually groaned sleepily, and the hold was loosened. I moved out of his hold and sat up. My head was spinning as I tried to shake the last part of the dream. It had been reoccurring that last few days. I looked over at Cassius, and he had the funniest smirk on his face. His brown hair was ruffled as his arms were against his chest. I grabbed my phone and smiled as I opened up the camera. A soft laugh erupted from me as I took several pictures of the king of werewolves in such a state. A blue eye opened and looked at me. "Did you just take a picture of me?" he grumbled sleepily. I hid my phone behind my back. "No," I snickered. He rolled onto his side with both eyes now narrowed at me. I heard the camera clicking noise. Shrugging my shoulders, "Okay, maybe I did. But you looked so adorable. Those pictures better not end up on any social media page." He rolled onto his back and closed his eyes again. I lay my head on his chest and circled my finger on his well-muscled abs. I liked how his skin felt against his rock-hard muscles. This Adonis was all mine. "Oh, I don't know. They might." I snickered. "It's against the law to take pictures of the king while he's sleeping." He ran his hand through my hair. "Is it now?" I laughed. "I'll make it so." He sighed. King Cassius, deem it against the law to take photos of the king while he slumbers." He chuckled. I just laughed at him. "You can't just make up laws." I ran my hand up and down, feeling him grow hard. "I'm the king, and I can do whatever I want." "You may be the king, baby. But I am the one in complete control," I said. "No argument here," he moaned. "Oh Gemma, I have complete control, King Cassius." I flashed him an evil smile. He nodded. "No, I need you to say it." His mouth fell open. "You are an evil woman. You know that, right?" he growled. "Say it, Cassius, or I will let go and leave you to finish this blow job yourself." His lips pulled back in a snarl. You have complete control, Queen Gemma. That a boy? I smiled. Can't waste this precious seed. He smirked. Ride me, Gemma. I smiled. He held my arms down as he attacked my lips with his eyes black with desire. Well, good morning Enoch, I said to his wolf. A low growl rolled out of him as he bit my lower lips to force his tongue into my mouth. Good morning, mate, a deep voice greeted me that was not Cassius's. Leonora purred happily in my head as she heard her mate's voice. Oh, Enoch! You wild boy, you! Quiet, he growled as he placed a hand on my throat and applied pressure. His other hand continued to grip my hands over my head. His groans became more and more animalistic. I watched as his eyes turned blue again as Cassius was given back control. He wrapped his arms around me. I am so sorry, baby. Enoch forced himself forward. Did he hurt you? He kissed me lightly on the lips. No, I shrugged. Well, maybe a little. But I like a little pain. I smiled as he continued kissing me lovingly. I ran my hand through his hair. Do you feel rested after yesterday? I slept like a rock thanks to having my mate in my arms. He rolled off of me and laid beside me. He buried his head on my neck and inhaled. Please wake me up like that every morning. I'll try. Sighing, he sat upon the bed. We should probably get up and get dressed. He looked at the clock. It was 6 am. He growled as he rose from the bed. It's going to be another long day. What do you need me to do? I asked him. He sighed. Well, the first thing we have to deal with the parents of Ansley's mate, and then I have to catch up with Deke and Maria on the Red River situation. And I'll be there at your side the entire time. I rose from the bed and lightly gripped his arm. He ran his hand down my cheek. I wouldn't have it any other way, love. Cass, am I in trouble? For what? I took a deep breath. For what happened yesterday? A lot of stuff happened yesterday, so you will have to be more specific. He started walking towards the bathroom. The thing that happened at the mall. I hated to anger him after he had just had X. But I needed to know. He took a deep breath and leaned against the marbled wall of the bathroom. You did attack that she-wolf, did you not? Yeah. I did. But that was after she provoked me by talking crap about Nikki. Ask Ansley or Delilah what happened. They were there. I will. He has been antagonizing me for years. He pulled me into his arms. And she is a member of your father's pack. I nodded. She is the daughter of a warrior. She had always acted high and mighty, especially when she started sleeping with Ian. I got into it a lot with her because she would pick on Tiffany a lot. Well, I'll need to talk to your father and confirm some of what you said. You would have better luck talking to my mother and the beta female Elizabeth. They were the ones usually having to break up our squabbles. He sighed. Look, I may have to take some disciplinary action against you because I can't have my queen beating up kingdom subjects. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't worry. It will be something like picking up trash around the palace grounds or something like that. Oh dear, not picking up trash. I fake whined as I walked over to the shower and stepped in, and turned it on. Seconds later, I was pinned to the wall as his lips crashed onto mine. I take that you are joining me? He growled lowly. Don't I always? After another long and very hot shower, we emerged from the steamed-up bathroom wrapped in towels. We entered the closet and began picking out our outfits for the day. I settled on dark blue dress pants with a white buttoned-up shirt and a dark blue jacket, and black heels. I then braided my hair. Cassius put on a black suit with a light blue shirt with a blue and white striped tie. He slicked back his brown hair. I looked him up and down as he admired himself in the mirror. Your queen approves. I wrapped my arms around him from the back and rested my cheek on his back, and inhaled his scent. My stomach rumbled with hunger. We better get downstairs and grab breakfast before Alpha Reynolds and his maid arrive. He sighed and clasped my hand, pulling me in front of him. He kissed my lips while looking deep into my eyes. Goddess, you have the most beautiful eyes. He released me, and then we walked out of our room and down the hall to the elevators. Terry and Izzy were standing there in tense silence. Good morning, Mom, Dad. Cassius greeted them. How did you sleep? Don't start, Cassius. His mother grumbled. He shrugged. Don't start, what? Mother, I was only saying good morning. Izzy growled lowly as the door to the elevator opened, and we walked in. She looked like she hadn't slept a wink last night. She wasn't wearing her usual elegant threads. Dressed in a pair of jeans and a white button-up shirt. Dad, Cassius said to his father. Are you all right this morning? Terry merely stood and stared silently at the doors of the elevator. I'm fine, Cassius, he said in a monotone voice. The tension in the elevator could be cut with a knife. The doors slid open, and we all walked towards the dining room in silence. I felt the eyes of the guards and servants on us as we walked by. I swear I heard the whispers as she spoke about what happened the night before, how the princess was found to be sleeping with a vampire, how she rejected her mate. We reached the dining room and everyone already seated rose to their feet. Terry and Izzy walked to their seats as Cassius, and I took our place at the head of the table. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all had a good weekend. I know mine was rather interesting. So let's eat. He then sat down, and the Omegas brought out breakfast. It was a simple breakfast of bacon, eggs, and hash browns with toast. I noticed Ansley was absent from the table. Good morning, Gemma. My brother greeted me from down the table. I heard you had a fun day yesterday. I shrugged casually. You could say that. Yet, we found out Ansley is dating a vampire, Delilah blurted out, which elicited a growl from Terry. I shook my head at her in an attempt to get her to change the subject. And then her mate just happened to be there. Delilah continued down a dangerous path. Casper Reynolds of all wolves, too. She laughed and looked over at me. I had a fake smile on my face as Terry was still growling. Yes, that was very interesting. My sister-in-law didn't seem to get the hint and kept digging herself deeper. I can't believe she wants a vampire over Casper. Terry's growls grew louder as I watched him snap the fork he was holding in half. I looked at my brother. Ian, get your pregnant mate out of here before Terry explodes. I mind-linked him. My brother looked at the former king and then nodded at me. Yeah, I'll do that. He stood up and grabbed Delilah. Babe, we have to go. She glared at him. But I'm not done with breakfast. I wanted to talk some more about yesterday. Terry was on his feet with a murderous glare on Delilah. Ian's eyes widened, and he picked up his mate and dragged her out of the dining room while she screamed in protest. Cassius stood up and placed his hand on Terry's chest. Dad, calm down. He and his father locked eyes. Terry's eyes went from blue to black and then back to blue before he slowly sat down. Cassius sat down and continued eating. It's weird how you and your brother do that silent communication thing. He said quietly to me. Oh, just now. I mind-linked him. I didn't know you could still do that with him. Cassius sounded genuinely curious. I shrugged as I chewed on a piece of bacon. It's a twin thing. We have been mind-linking each other since we were in utero. I explained to my very interested mate. Our wolves have been communicating since we were conceived and still can communicate with each other. Even though you are both mated. Izzy chimed in with a question. Clearly, she, too, was trying to quell the tension in the room. I nodded. Yes, twins are bonded in a special way like mates, or that's what my mother told us. Izzy sipped her coffee. Is there a chance you and Cassie will have twins? There is an excellent chance of that, Izzy. Considering I am a twin. My mother is a twin, and her father was a twin. It goes way back. I explained. Izzy squeezed Terry's hand. Did you hear that, Terry? We could have twin grandpups on the way. Wouldn't that be wonderful? He just shrugged and stood up. Cassius, inform me the minute Alpha Reynolds arrives. He grumbled and then left the room. So, he is still angry about last night, I said to her. Izzy snorted. Oh, you caught that. Do you blame him? Cassius spoke up. His only daughter is in love with a vampire. He shuddered. I don't think I could handle it if we have a daughter and she falls in love with a vampire. I shrugged. As long as he treats her right. Cassius growled. Gemma, you can't be serious. I am. If our hypothetical daughter found happiness with a vampire, then I would not get in the way of that. I knew he didn't like that answer when he dropped his fork and ran his hand over his face. I thought we liked the vampires now. He stiffened. My father forged an alliance with King Romulus in the name of peace between species and to shut up the hunters. We allow peaceful vampires in this kingdom, and King Romulus allows peaceful werewolves into his. That doesn't mean I want there to be mixed mates. It's just not natural. I rolled my eyes. We can't always help who we fall in love with, Cassius. I threw down my napkin and stood up. Excuse me. I started to leave but was stopped when Cassius grabbed my hand. Let me go, Cass. I need to go cool off. I didn't mean to upset you, he said with a slight frown. I turned to him and kissed his cheek. Mind link me when the Smoky Mountain Alpha arrives, okay? He nodded, and I turned and walked out of the room. I decided to check on Ansley. While waiting by the elevator, I tapped my foot and hummed a Tom Petty song. The doors slid open, and I walked in and leaned against the wall. Once opened, I walked in the direction of Ansley's room. Her room was on the same side as Terry and Izzy's room. I knocked on her door. Ansley. I called her name to no answer. Ansley, it's Gemma. I still heard no answer, so I turned the knob and was surprised it was unlocked. I poked my head into her room. It was every bit a princess's bedroom. Pink everything covered almost every inch of the room. It made me want to vomit. Ansley was lying on her large canopied bed. She had her phone in her hands. Ansley, I called as I stepped into the room and closed the door. I'm just checking on you. Are you all right? She shrugged as I walked towards the bed. Her eyes were red from crying. What is all right in this place, Gemma? She spoke out sadly. I kicked off my shoes and lay on the bed beside her. That is purely subjective, Ansley. I folded my hands and placed them on my belly. She rolled over and faced away from me. You smell like Cassius. I sniffed. He's my mate, Ansley. Of course, I smell like him. No, I mean his scent isn't just on you. It's in you. She mumbled. I lifted my head and stared at her back. Did she just basically say that I am pregnant? Leonora made a small growl in the back of my mind but didn't answer. We were silent for a moment. Have you been up all night? She rolled onto her back and turned her head towards me. I spent all night talking to Titus. A tear ran down her cheek. All night. He's a vampire. They don't sleep. I nodded. Right. He broke up with me when I told him about everything that happened last night. She sniffled. He felt it was for the best. Tears ran down her cheeks as she started sobbing again. I really love him, Gemma. I mean, I feel it in my soul that I love him. As for werewolves, I know we are taught that true love for us comes from our fated mates. But I feel nothing for Casper. Not even my wolf is pushing me to be with him. I sighed as she sobbed into her pillow. Wow, Leonora was practically roaring at me when I ran away from the mating ball after seeing Cassius. What am I going to do, Gemma? I don't want to be sent off to be some Luna to an alpha I know in my soul I do not want. I reached out my arms and pulled her towards me, and let her sob on my shoulder. I wish I knew what to tell you, Ansley. When I went to the ball, I was adamant about rejecting my mate if I met him. Then it turned out to be Cassius, which meant I couldn't reject him. But even though I ran from him, I felt something for him, and not just because my wolf was trying to force me to go back. I mean, I felt it when we were kids when your parents visited my pack. Even though he took my baby from me, I still couldn't deny how I felt about him. He never should have done that. Making you leave your son behind. She said. He's working on fixing that, I sighed sadly, now thinking about Nikki. Despite that, you love my brother. I nodded. With my whole heart. She sighed. That's how I feel about Titus. I mean, I met Casper a few times when he came for alpha training, and he just always acted like an arrogant. That's most alphas. But your father isn't like that. Nor is your brother, Ian. Part of me used to hope he was my mate. I laughed. Really? Ian? She shrugged. Well, he is handsome, sweet, and strong. She rolled onto her back again and turned on her phone. She showed me a picture of her and Titus standing on a boardwalk in a loving embrace. That is what Titus is like. We talk for hours about stupid stuff. He likes a lot of the same things as I, even though he is like 80 years old. Oh, you found a young vampire. She laughed sadly. We were going to see the world together, but now I'll just be another faceless Luna producing pups for another arrogant alpha. Tears streamed down her cheeks. My heart ached for Ansley. I prayed to the moon goddess for guidance. I wanted to help my sister-in-law in every way I could. I'm sorry I told Cassius about Titus. I assume you had a good reason. She turned her blue eyes on me. They were a lighter shade than Cassius's, resembling the sky. Well, it was when your parents said you were missing, and they were all worried about you. I didn't want to. But Cassius was genuinely concerned about you. She patted my arm. It's all right, Gemma. I forgive you. There was a knock on the door. Ansley. It was Izzy's voice. Gemma, Alpha Reynolds, and his mate just arrived. Cassius mind-linked me. I sat up as Izzy walked into the room. She stood in front of the bed and looked at her daughter. Casper's parents just arrived. You need to get down to your brother's office, now. Ansley groaned as she sat up and rubbed her eyes. Izzy walked around the bed and hugged her tight. You will get through this, Ansley. I know you are trying to make me feel better, Mom. But I will never feel better about any of this. Ansley pulled out of her mother's embrace, slid off her bed, and walked to the closet. She was wearing only a pair of short shorts and a tank top. A moment later, she came out wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt. Gemma, where are you? Cassius demanded in my mind. I am with your sister and mother. We'll be down in a few minutes. Okay, love. He replied. Izzy wrapped an arm around Ainsley's shoulder and led her out of the room while I followed close behind. Cassius's POV. I watched my mate walk out of the dining room after our little disagreement. She would honestly be okay with one of our future children being in love with a bloodsucker. I just didn't understand that. Sighing, I glanced at my mother. Am I wrong to be against my future children mating with vampires? No, son. As werewolves, we have a natural aversion to vampires. Or at least we did. When your father forged the alliance with King Romulus, it was not well received at first, especially when they started moving into our cities. But the few I have met seemed all right. But the thought of my daughter being in love with one is hard for me to accept. My mother calmly explained. She sighed. You are taking it better than Dad, I chuckled lightly. Oh, I am just better at hiding my anger, Cassie, my mother sighed. I do wonder where I went wrong with Ainsley. I thought I had instilled the importance of the mate bond with both of you. I reached over and clasped her hand. You didn't do anything wrong, Mom. Ainsley has always been independent. Things will work out. I know they would. Casper Reynolds seemed to be decent enough. I think she will come around to him. My mother sighed. I hope so, Cassie. I suppose. You somehow got Gemma to come around to you even after what you did to her. Well, you helped, Mom. She smiled and patted my hand. You are welcome, my son. Now, if you'll excuse me, I am going to go check on your father. She rose from her seat and then leaned down to kiss the top of my head before walking out of the dining room. I sighed and rose from my seat. I headed towards my office and ran into Deke. He looked like he hadn't slept for days. Hey buddy, have you slept at all since yesterday? He sighed. Not really, no. I got back from Silver Paw a few minutes ago. We found some things there that you'll be interested in. His eyes drooped as he stumbled slightly. I grabbed his shoulder to steady him. I have to meet with the parents of Ansley's mate this morning. In the meantime, I order you to go take a nap and then fill me in on what you found. Cass, no arguments, Deke. Your pregnant mate will have my head if I allow you to work until you collapse from exhaustion. Now go to your room and sleep until I send for you. I smiled at my best friend and patted his back. Do I need to have someone escort you there? He shook his head. No, Cass. I think I can make it. I patted his shoulder and watched as he walked away towards the elevators. Sighing, I continued to my office. The mention of his pregnant mate made me think of mine. I wonder if Gemma had figured it out yet. I had noticed her scent was different the moment I opened my eyes this morning. I had wanted to say something other, but she insisted on giving me a blowjob, and I wasn't about to stop her. Then Enoch had to go and push himself forward and hurt her. I was still a little cross at him for that. I didn't hurt her, Enoch growled, and she likes it rough. You are still in the doghouse, buddy, I snarled back at him and pushed him into the back of my mind. I sat behind my desk and imagined Gemma's belly growing round with my pup. A goofy smile spread on my face. The last week or so, I had been dreaming of a pair of blonde-haired twins with Gemma's violet eyes frolicking in a field of daisies. It made me wonder if she was, in fact, carrying twins. I knew there was a good chance of it. Not that it mattered to me. I wanted the whole palace full of pups. A knock on the door broke me from my thoughts. Come in, I said out loud, and Sam walked in. Your Majesty, Alpha Reynolds and his mate have arrived. Send them right in, please, I said to him. Go to the dorm and bring Caspar Reynolds here right away. Sam nodded. Yes, Your Majesty. He beckoned the Alpha and his Luna into my office. The Alpha is almost as tall as me, with sandy blonde hair and greenish eyes. He had on a black three-piece suit. He stood tall as I approached him. His Luna, a thin woman with brown hair and brown eyes, stood behind him. She was wearing a blue long-sleeved dress with a high collar. I could see under the dress that she was skinny. She appeared to be having trouble walking, like it was painful for her. King Cassius, the Alpha greeted me with a handshake when I approached them. This is my Luna, Nicole. I held my hand to the woman who looked up at me, and I winced when her eyes seemed to indicate she was in pain. She stumbled slightly as I gently clasped her small hand. How was your journey here, Luna? I asked her with a smile. She smiled slightly at me, then looked away when her mate glared at her. Our journey here was just fine. Alpha Reynolds didn't allow his Luna to answer. Where is my son? Is he out of lockup? He demanded. I sighed. He should be here shortly, and he was never locked up. That's not what he told me, Your Majesty. He said your mate had him locked up. I had to hide my annoyance at this alpha as he spoke with arrogance. My queen told me she only had him escorted back to the dorm, and he was only to be locked up if continued acting out. And you believe her? He snorted, which only made me angry. Yes, I do, I indicated. Now, have a seat while I inform my family that you and your mate are here. The alpha and his Luna took a seat on one of the couches. They did not act the least be loving towards each other. He just looked at her with disdain. I frowned. Mom, Dad, Alpha Reynolds have arrived. I mind-linked my parents. I'll be right down, son. Your mother will bring Ansley down with her. My father replied. There was another knock on the office door as Sam poked his head in. I have the young Alpha, Reynolds. I nodded at him. Show him in, Sam. My guard leads the young Alpha into the office. Have a seat by your parents, Casper. Sam started to leave. Sam, I need you to stay, please. Yes, Your Majesty. The guard replied. Gemma, Alpha Reynolds, and his mate just arrived. I mind-linked my queen as my father walked into the office. Alpha Reynolds rose from the couch and approached my father. King Terence, it's been too long. He shook my father's hand. It's just Terence now, Blake. I am no longer king. He smirked at me. Isabel should be down with Ansley shortly. He looked towards the Alpha's mate. Is this your new mate, Nicole? The Alpha nodded. Yes, that is Nicole. He spoke with mild disdain towards her. New mate? I asked. I didn't know this Alpha too well, so I didn't know his story, but my father knew him. My fated mate, Renee, tragically passed away around 5 years ago. But the goddess blessed me with my second chance mate, Nicole here. He explained. I'm sorry to hear about your fated mate but pleased to hear you got a second chance, I said to him. I eyed Nicole, who was still looking pained, and every time her eyes flashed towards me, I sensed something off about her. She seemed to almost flinch every time Alpha Reynolds so much as looked at her. That had me concerned. I thought you said your mate and daughter were on the way down. Alpha Reynolds tapped his foot. He looked at his watch. You told me to be here at 9 am sharp. It's 5 minutes past 9. He breathed out an annoyed sigh. I have pack business to attend to back at my pack. We are here to collect Ansley and head home. I glanced at my father for a brief second. You want to take her to your pack already? Your son has another week of alpha training. Not anymore. He found his Luna, so I am stepping down 2 days from now so he can take over. It's time. The Alpha explained. So, tell the ladies to hurry up and get down here. The urge to punch this Alpha was rising within me. Enoch growled at his impatience. I'm ready to rip his throat out. I had to repress a snort as my wolf spoke. I noticed it had been some time since I had mind-linked Gemma. Gemma, where are you? I almost demanded of her. I am with your sister and mother. We'll be down in a few minutes. Alpha, my queen just informed that she and my sister and mother would be down in a few minutes. The Alpha made a face of disgust. Why does the queen need to be here? The way he said queen made me growl lowly. This is a family matter. Blake, my father spoke up. Gemma is my son's mate and your queen. That makes her a part of this family. He explained to the Alpha with authority. I would appreciate you not use a tone of disgust when speaking of her again. The Alpha bowed to my father. Forgive me, Terence. He sat back down by his son and mate. A few minutes went by before the changed scent of my mate reached my senses. She was with my mother and sister as they walked in. I swear Gemma was already glowing. I had to repress the urge to sweep her into my arms and tell her what I knew. But first, we had to deal with this issue. My heart sank when I looked at my sister. There were dark circles under her eyes from not sleeping, and her eyes were red from probably crying all night. She was dressed in jeans and a t-shirt. Not her usual style. She refused to look at her mate, who was nearly jumping off the couch to be with her. Ansley! Casper shouted and tried to jump up, only to be restrained by his father. My mother leads Ansley to the couch opposite Casper and his parents. She just stared at the ground, refusing to acknowledge anyone. I clasped Gemma's arm as she walked by me. I leaned down to take in her changed scent. How are you feeling, love? I asked her quietly. She shrugged. Okay, I guess. She furrowed her brows. Thank you for being here for Ansley. I'm sure she appreciates it. She needs to know at least one of us is on her side, Gemma replied almost coldly to me. I was a little taken aback as I let go of her arm. She sat down next to my sister. My father pulled a chair close to the couches that were arranged in a semicircle. I opted to stand at the head of the circle. Good, now that everyone is here, let's get started. I pointed my hand at Casper. Young Reynolds, would you tell us what transpired yesterday at the restaurant when you found out that my sister was your mate? Casper looked at Ansley, who was still staring at the ground. He frowned slightly before clearing his throat. Well, after we were let out of training early, a few of the guys and I decided to eat out for lunch. Someone recommended Frederico's. It's not my usual taste in food, but whatever. It was nice to leave the palace grounds for a bit. No offense, he smirked at me. Anyways, as soon as we pulled into the parking lot of the bistro, my wolf Angus started going nuts. Like he was trying to claw his way out of my brain. And then, when we walked in, her scent hit me, and I just knew. So I followed her heavenly aroma down a short hall and heard her screaming while being assaulted by a wretched bloodsucker. Ansley finally looked up and glared ice-cold daggers at the young alpha. I launched into action and pulled the bloodsucker off her. I saved her, and then Queen Gemma showed up with the guards, and instead of dispatching the vampire, she had me release it. He glared at Gemma. Next thing I knew, I was taken into custody. All I did was protect my mate. Ansley and Gemma both snorted loudly. You are a liar. My sister spat at him. Titus was not assaulting me. We were making out. And I didn't start screaming until you came over and grabbed my boyfriend by the throat and pinned me to wall. She explained angrily. Are you calling my son a liar? Alpha Reynolds interjected. Damn right, I am. Ansley blurted out. A big fat one. I held up a hand. Casper, are you telling the truth about what happened? Yes, he replied. Then why did you tell your father that Gemma had you locked up? He opened his mouth to say something and looked at Gemma with anger. She was protecting that stupid bloodsucker. No, I was protecting Ansley and the other patrons in the restaurant, Gemma spoke up. 4 of my guards had to hold you back while you growled and fought. Ansley was terrified. I told the guards to only lock you up if you remained hostile. But otherwise, they were to escort you just back to the Alpha dorms. I looked at Casper. At any time were you locked up? I asked him as he started to shake. He knew he had been caught lying. When he didn't reply, I looked over at Sam, standing against a wall by the office door. Sam, I beckoned him towards us. Did your men lock up young Casper yesterday? The guard shook his head. No, Your Majesty. As the Queen said, we were told only to lock him up if he remained hostile. But my men informed that he calmed down after leaving the restaurant, so he was just taken to the dorm. Did you see the vampire assaulting my sister? I asked Sam. No, sire. We did not see what transpired in the hall. We just heard the princess screaming and ran with the queen. The young Alpha had the vampire by the throat while pining the princess to the wall. Did my sister appear to be frightened? I questioned my guard. He nodded his head. She was terrified, sire. The queen called her name, which made the young Alpha loosen his hold on her. The princess ran behind Queen Gemma and was trembling. The young Alpha lunged towards the queen, and 3 of my men and I had to restrain him. I nodded as he spoke. Casper, any particular reason you have been lying? He paused. I was angry that I was being kept away from my mate. I saw her with a vampire and couldn't contain my wolf. I saw red. I wasn't in complete control. He looked at Ansley. Please forgive me, Ans. I didn't mean to frighten you. She glared at him with hatred. Do not call me Ans. You do not have that privilege. But I am your mate. He pleaded with her. My sister folded her arms. You are not my mate. I rejected you, remember? He flinched when she mentioned that. I didn't accept the rejection. You are still my mate. Alpha Reynolds looked at my father. Did you not teach your daughter manners? I thought better of you, Terence. That caused my father to growl. I taught my daughter manners, Alpha. My mother sneered at him. Didn't you teach your son not to lie to the king? The Alpha's eyes narrowed at my mother. Did I ask you to speak, Isabel? He shook his head. Women shouldn't speak out of line. My mother nearly launched herself over the coffee table sitting in between the couches but was held back by my father. Calm down, Izzy. My father tried calming my mother. Honestly, Terence. Have you no control over your women? Alpha Reynolds snorted. He looked at his mate, who flinched slightly. See how my mate stays quiet and doesn't speak unless I ask her to. Cassius, Gemma's voice cut through my mind during the tense conversation. You seriously can't consider sending your sister off to these abusive misogynists? She looked up at me. Also, I think Alpha Reynolds beats his mate. She looks like she is in pain, and look how she flinches every time he moves. I glanced at Nicole. She was trembling as her mate explained his stance on females. She hadn't spoken one word since we got here. I believe you, Gemma. I don't even see why the women are in here anyway. This should be a discussion between the men. It's my life you are discussing, Ansley growled. I should be involved. Alpha Reynolds growled at her. Terence, I can't believe you allow your daughter to speak like that. He looked at his son. We'll train that out of her son. I looked at Gemma. You are right. Follow my lead, okay. I mind-linked her. Alpha Reynolds continued his tirade. I'll dismiss you and the other she-wolves from the room. You and Mother speak with Luna Nicole and get what you can from her. If she has been beaten or in any other way abused, let me know immediately. Gemma nodded at me. King Cassius, have you been listening to me? The Alpha's annoying voice brought me out of my discussion with Gemma. Can we leave with your sister now? No, Alpha. There are few other things my father and I would like to discuss with you. I looked at my father. This jerk isn't going to leave with Ansley, Dad. I have a terrible feeling about him. I agree, son. Why don't the ladies step out, so us men can have a real discussion, I said as Gemma stood up and gently tugged my sister to her feet. My mother stood up as well. Come with us, Luna Nicole, my mother said to the frightened she-wolf. Nicole looked at her mate for approval. Go with them and talk about makeup or whatever you women talk about. Alpha Reynolds dismissed his mate with a wave of his hand. Nicole flinched away from him and slowly stood up. She silently hissed and touched her side. Gemma gently guided her out of the room and looked back at me. We are going to nail that bastard to the wall. I had to refrain from smirking at her. Goddess, I loved my queen. After the women had walked out, I sat on the couch opposite the Alpha and his son. My father sat beside me. So, Alpha, tell me more of your philosophies regarding women. Gemma's POV. It was a relief that Cassius and I agreed about Alpha Reynolds. It was clear to me that he was an abusive to his mate. I saw the way she flinched whenever he moved his hands. I could see the pain in her eyes as she silently winced whenever she moved. The way he spoke to Izzy and Ansley only made my blood boil. After Cassius had us leave the room, Izzy and I gently guided Nicole to one of the conference rooms. We all sat down. Would you like anything to drink, Luna Nicole? Izzy asked her. The Luna shrugged. Just water. She finally spoke. Her voice was almost a whisper. Blake gets angry if I have anything that might make me gain weight. I looked her up and down. It was clear she was skin and bones under the Little House on the Prairie dress. Well, he isn't here, and we won't say anything, I smirked at her. My kitchen staff makes excellent lemonade, Izzy added and gave me a concerned look. I wished we were able to mind link. But her eyes told me she was under the same suspicions. I'll have them bring lemonade and some cupcakes. So, Nicole. Can I call you Nicole? She nodded. You can call me Gemma. I scooted closer to her. Can you tell me about your life with Alpha Reynolds? She shook her head and pulled her arms to her chest. She looked at the ground. He is a good mate. She said robotically. I am bad sometimes, and he has to discipline me. Discipline? You are his mate, not his child. Does he beat you? I blurted out. Nicole flinched as tears fell down her cheeks. I can't say anything. He will discipline me. She sobbed quietly. Please. I sighed heavily and leaned towards Izzy. What do we do, Izzy? You have to use your authority as queen to get her to open up, Gemma. She replied. I know it may seem wrong, but it's clear this poor woman needs our help. Mother, you guys can't seriously still think it's in my best interest to be with Casper, Ansley said to her mother. No, Ansley. I don't think that. Though it may only be his father, that is a mate beater. Okay. Trust us. She looked her daughter dead on. Ansley slowly nodded, understanding. There was a knock on the door. Izzy stood up to answer it. I focused on Nicole. Nicole, I need to know. Does your mate beat you? I used my queen tone. It made Nicole bow her head. I hated doing this to her. Yes, she replied quietly through her tears. But it is my fault. I am bad, so he has to punish me. My heart ached for this woman. Izzy set a tray of food on the table beside us. Besides the lemonade, there were some finger sandwiches and bags of chips. Eat up, Nicole. I could hear your stomach growling the whole time we were in my son's office. Nicole shook her head. I was bad this morning. So Blake says no food for 3 days. Blake has no authority here, Nicole, I explained to her. Please eat something. I would feel I failed as your queen to allow a Luna in my kingdom to starve while in my palace. Hesitantly, Nicole picked up a sandwich and bit into it. Then she devoured it ravenously. I sighed and looked at Izzy. We can't let this woman go back to him, I whispered to my mother-in-law. We won't. She replied. Nicole, what did you do that was bad this morning? She was in the middle of devouring another sandwich when she paused. I tried to wear a dress with shorter sleeves. He doesn't like me to expose skin. It's warm out, and I thought he'd understand. But he is right. She picked up the lemonade and drank from the pitcher. Can we see your bruises? I asked hesitantly. She put the pitcher down. Look, Nicole. We will not tell your alpha anything. She stood up and tried unzipping her dress. I can't unzip my dress. My arm hurts too much. Izzy stood up. I'll help you, dear. She gently unzipped Nicole's dress, and we all gasped as she slowly slipped it down. Her body was almost completely purple from the bruises on her. How long has this been going on? Ever since the first night, Blake brought me home. He's not my fated mate. He tells everyone I am his second chance, but he just claimed me 3 years ago at the royal mating ball. He told my father that I would be well cared for. My real mate was there, but I never saw his face because Blake insisted he was my mate. And I believe him because I heard how great an alpha he was. She began to sob, and she sat down again. He is a monster. I am not allowed to speak to anyone but him. Not even other she-wolves. Though I sometimes speak to the Omegas that clean our room. They are my only friends. I cannot eat unless he says so, and only what he says I can eat. He controls how much I eat. I am not allowed to leave our room hardly. I trembled with anger as she poured her heart out. Cassius, I mind-linked my mate. Alpha Reynolds has been beating Nicole for 3 years. He controls her food intake. He doesn't allow her to talk to anyone. Her body is covered in bruises. I suspected that. Take her to the hospital and have them do a full evaluation on her. In the meantime, I am taking the Alpha into custody. He explained. And what about Ansley's mate? I asked. Dad and I will speak to him alone. We will make sure he is nothing like his father before we decide. Good. I replied to him. Nicole, you are not going home with Blake. Cassius is taking him into custody. There is no tolerance for males who abuse their mates in this kingdom. We are going to take you to the hospital to have them examine you to see the extent of your injuries. She smiled slightly. Then can I call my father? He is or was the Alpha of the Eclipse Pack. My brother may have taken over by now. Of course you can, I said to her. Eclipse Pack, Izzy repeated. Alpha Roland case, right? Nicole nodded. Yeah, that's my dad. We'll call him as soon as you are done at the hospital, Izzy smiled. Now, let's go. She helped Nicole back to her feet and then helped her with her dress. As we opened the door, we heard growling in the hall. Nicole cowered behind Izzy and me while Ansley was behind Nicole. As we walked out, we saw Alpha Reynolds struggling to free himself from Sam and a few other guards as he shouted expletives. He saw us and lodged a death glare. Cassius and Terry were standing just behind him and the guards. Nicole, what did you tell them? He bellowed. I took a step towards him. You will not speak to her that way. I nearly spat at him. His eyes turned red as he glared at me. You! Alpha Reynolds roared at me. You put her up to this. I know it. I saw the color of his eyes flickering. He was fighting his wolf. No, Blake. You only have yourself to blame, you lying abusive pig, I sneered at him. A roar like a growl shook the hall as Alpha Reynolds managed to break free from the guards and ran right towards me. I took a fighting stance as the angry Alpha swung his fist at me so fast I was unable to block him. His fist connected with my chest, and it sent me flying backward a few feet. I saw stars as a thunderous growl shook the palace and then watched as Cassius had the Alpha pinned to the wall within seconds of my assault. Do not touch my pregnant mate! He bellowed. My mouth fell open. What did he say? Cassius's POV Alpha Blake Reynolds seemed annoyed by my inquiry. He growled lowly. What business is it of yours? He sneered at me. I had to repress my urge to rip his smug face off his skull. It's my business because I want to know the place I send my sister is safe for her, I stated to him. He shrugged. My pack is one of the strongest in the kingdom. You know that, Terence. He looked at my father. Yes, I realize your pack is strong. I want to know how you treat she-wolves. I said as calmly as I could muster. I am traditional when it comes to females, all right. Women should be seen, not heard. Speak only when spoken to. We, males, are in charge. The females are there to provide us with pups. My father growled lowly at him. And do you believe in beating them? His voice hissed out. I could see him clenching his fists. Alpha Reynolds shrugged. A little smack here and there keeps them in line. Reminds them who is in charge. I believe in never striking a woman. My father looked at me. Unless it's during a battle and the female is a rogue or enemy. The alpha snorted. And that Terence is why your daughter has a mouth like a sailor, and your mate speaks out of turn. A little smack here and there would have fixed that problem a long time ago. Isabel would have torn my nuts off if so much as attempted to hit her or treat her like trash. I do not treat my mate like trash. I treat her the way a woman should be treated. We are alpha males. We shouldn't allow anyone to walk all over us, especially not the women. That makes us weak. The more he spoke, the angrier I got. But I could not arrest him based on words alone. I needed hard evidence. Suspecting he beat Nicole was not enough. I was waiting for Gemma or my mother to confirm my suspicions. I don't know how any male could look upon the goddess's greatest gift to us and think beating them was acceptable. Just the thought of seeing bruises on my beautiful mate made my blood boil. I looked at the alpha's son and wondered if he was anything like his father. Dad, I don't think we should allow them to take Ansley. I will have to agree with you, son. I think she was better off with the vampire. I wanted to laugh at that statement, but I maintained my non-expression. I believe our mates are our equals. Gemma's words are as good as mine in this kingdom. Alpha Reynolds snorted. Gemma Mackenzie of all the females in this kingdom being queen. He shook his head. I used to have a lot of respect for Alpha Mackenzie until I heard about his daughter's wild antics. Getting pregnant at 18 and sleeping with whomever. How you think she is even remotely qualified to be queen, I'll never understand. Kill that! Enoch roared in my head. I felt my father's hand on my arm. I had to repress the rage that was threatening to explode as he spoke. Gemma is not a alpha. I ground out through gritted teeth. She may have had a few misguided transgressions a few years ago. But so did I. I am no better than her. I bedded my fair share of she-wolves before my mate came along. Didn't we all, King Cassius? The alpha laughed. So, why is it okay for us to be man-whores, but females are expected to be chaste virgins when we show up? He shrugged. That's just how it is. Gemma was right. There was a double standard. Males could sleep around all they wanted, and no one batted an eyelash. But a female doing the same thing was shamed for it and sometimes shunned for it. And Gemma is more than qualified to be queen. First off, the goddess wouldn't have chosen her to be my mate if she thought she was unworthy of me. Second, Gemma is very capable of being queen. She is brilliant and caring of others. She is also a fierce warrior. Female warriors. That's an oxymoron. Females do not belong anywhere near warrior training. They need to be in the packhouse making pups and arranging flowers. Leave the fighting to the males. I snorted at him. That's a piss-poor philosophy if you ask me. Some of the most capable warriors in my army are females. Look at my Delta. I didn't pick her because I needed a token female to look progressive. She is one of the fiercest fighters I have ever seen. She has even knocked me a few times. Lesbians don't count. They aren't really women. I glanced at Casper, who had been quiet the entire time. I wondered if he thought the same as his father. If he was even remotely similar to him, then Ansley was not going to his pack. I would force him to accept the rejection. My father was right. Ansley was probably better off with the vampire. Cassius, Gemma's sweet voice cut through my thoughts. Alpha Reynolds has been beating Nicole for years. Her body is covered in bruises. He controls her food intake. He doesn't allow her to talk to anyone. My blood boiled as Gemma spoke through our mind link. I suspected that. I didn't think it was as bad as Gemma had just explained. Take her to the hospital and have them do a full evaluation on her. In the meantime, I am taking the Alpha into custody. And what about Ainsley's mate? Gemma asked. I looked at the young Alpha. He seemed to be angry. I wasn't sure at whom he was angry. Dad and I will speak to him alone. We will make sure he is nothing like his father before we decide. I explained to her. I looked at my father. Dad, I am arresting Alpha Blake for abusing his mate. Your mother just told me about it. What should we do about the boy? I think we should talk to him alone. See if he is a carbon copy of his father and then decides. Agreed. My father kept a neutral expression on his face as we mind-linked each other. I looked towards my guard, who was standing in the middle of the room still as a statue. Sam, I need you to call in your squad, please. Via mind link. He didn't move a muscle as his eyes flicked to mine. Yes, Your Majesty. So, can we leave now? Alpha Reynolds stood up. I stood up and looked the Alpha in the eyes. You are leaving this office right now. And your sister? Ansley isn't going anywhere. My father stated coldly as the office door opened while Sam's men filed in. Alpha Blake Reynolds, I am placing you under arrest for the abuse of your mate Nicole. I nodded to Sam and his men. The Alpha's eyes grew wide as his face turned red. Are you kidding me? He growled in my face. I never abused her. I just made her mind me. She doesn't listen, so I smacked her around to make her mind. He snarled as the guards rushed forward to take him into custody. They had a little trouble restraining the angry Alpha. Dad! Casper shouted and stood up. You will wait here, young Alpha, I ordered him in my king tone. Casper sat down and glared at me as I followed the guards out of my office. Alpha Reynolds was growling and struggling to free himself from my guards. As we moved into the hall, I saw Gemma with my mother, sister, and Luna Nicole. Nicole cowered behind my mother and mate. Nicole, what did you tell them? You are a liar. Alpha Reynolds was digging himself deeper and deeper. I cringed when I saw Gemma take a step towards the angry Alpha. Despite being held by 6 guards, he was still very dangerous. Maria, I need you to bring sedatives to the hall outside of my office, now. I ordered my Delta. Strong sedatives for an angry Alpha. I'll be right there, Cass. Maria replied. You will not speak to her that way. My defiant queen said to the angry Alpha. You! Alpha Reynolds roared at my mate. My blood boiled. No one roars at my mate. You put her up to this. I know it. The guards were still struggling to contain him. No, Blake. You only have yourself to blame, you lying abusive pig. Gemma said to him, making me cringe again. Why was she provoking him? A roar-like growl came from the alpha as he managed to break free from my guards, and he ran straight for my pregnant mate. It was like the world was suddenly in slow motion as I watched his fist connect with Gemma's chest, and she flew backward and landed on the floor in a daze. I let out a growl loud as thunder that shook the palace. In seconds I was on the alpha and pinned him to the wall by his neck. My claws dug into his sorry flesh. Enoch was fighting to come out and tear the alpha to pieces for touching our mate. Do not touch my pregnant mate! I bellowed without thinking about what I had just said. I looked over at Gemma, who was sitting on the ground with a shocked look on her face. What did you just say? I didn't have time to explain. I need to get this scumbag subdued and taken to the dungeons. Alpha Reynolds was writhing in my hold. He was a powerful alpha. You will submit Alpha Reynolds. I bellowed in my king tone. I saw the alpha struggle, then he lowered his head and showed me his neck. I released my hold on his neck. He was still growling at me as I saw his wolf fighting for control. Maria ran towards me and handed me a syringe that I plunged into the alpha's neck. Nighty, night scumbag, I said as he collapsed to the ground. Now take him to the dungeons, I ordered before walking over to Gemma, who was now standing up leaning on my mother. Luna Nicole was leaning against my sister. I walked over to Gemma and pulled her from my mother, and picked her up bridal style. You are going to the hospital and getting looked at. I'm fine, Cassius. It's Nicole who needs medical attention. My eyes narrowed at her. You just got knocked by a very angry and abusive alpha, and you are carrying the future of this kingdom. You are getting seen by the doctor. Do not argue with me, I said in a harsher tone than I intended. She shrank away from me. Am I really pregnant? How do you know before me? Yes, and I will explain later. Okay. I looked back at my father, who had a stunned expression on his face. Dad, stay here with the young alpha. I'll be right back. My father slowly nodded, then smirked at my mother. Okay, son. He spoke quietly. Luna Nicole, can you walk? Or do I need someone to carry you? She nodded. I can walk. I'll help her, Cassie. My mother said to me. With that, I rushed down the hallway towards the Royal Hospital, which was a large building attached to the palace. I didn't bother to see if my mother and Nicole were keeping up. My priority was my mate. I mind-linked the hospital as I started running towards the hospital. Within a minute, I rushed through the doors. Dr. Angela Hall, my Delta's mate, was waiting for us in front of the reception desk. Take her into room 4, Cass. She smiled at me. I rushed past her down the hall to the room and gently set Gemma on the bed. A second later, Angela walked into the room. So, Queen Gemma was punched by an angry alpha. Yes, I growled. I need you to run every test, every X-ray, anything you need to do to make sure she and my pup are all right. Cassius, I am fine. My chest doesn't even hurt. I pointed the finger at her. Gemma, what did I say about arguing? She rolled her eyes at me while Angela patted my shoulder. Don't worry, Cass. I'll do everything I can for Gemma and your pup. She smirked at that last part. I ran my hand through my hair and nodded at her. Also, my mother is bringing in a Luna who her mate has beaten for years. I need you to do a full evaluation on her and report to me everything you find. Angela nodded. Okay. She replied. I knelt beside the bed and cupped Gemma's face in my hands. I lightly kissed her lips. I have to go back to my office to talk with Casper Reynolds. I will be back as soon as I can. All right. I lowered my nose to her belly and inhaled deeply. I smell him in there. She smiled at me and stroked my hair. I'm pretty sure there is more than one in there. I looked into her violet eyes. I can't tell you how happy I am in this moment, right now. I love you so much, Gemma Sky. I kissed her and wrapped my arms around her. She deepened the kiss, and for a few moments, nothing else existed until someone cleared their throat. Cass. I need to examine your mate. Remember? Angela said in her sarcastic tone. I kissed Gemma one more time before releasing her and standing up. You are so lucky I like you, Angela. She rolled her eyes at me. Get out of here, Cassius. You are distracting me from my work. She smirked while lightly pushing me towards the door. How does Maria put up with your attitude? I snarked at her. She laughed as I walked down the hall. My mother and sister had just arrived at the hospital with Nicole in their arms. A couple of nurses rushed forward to help Nicole into a wheelchair before taking her down the hall. So, is it true, Cass? Am I going to be an aunt? My sister smiled up at me. Yes. I pulled her into a hug. My mother clapped loudly. I knew it. I just knew it. I have to go speak with Casper. Ansley frowned and pulled away from me. I placed my hand under her chin. You will not go anywhere near that pack if Dad and I even remotely suspect he is anything like his father. Do you understand me, Ansley? She sniffled and hugged me again. Thank you, Cass. Can I be there when you and Dad talk to him? I nodded. Yes, it's your life, and you should be there. Come on. I'll stay here for Gemma and Nicole. Thanks, Mom. I squeezed her shoulder and then walked out of the hospital with my sister walking beside me. We walked in silence for a few moments. I sort of suspected Gemma was pregnant this morning when she crawled into my bed. How? I told her she smelled like you and not just on her but in her. I wrapped my arm around her shoulder and laughed. Good job, Ans. We continued back to my office. My dad was sitting behind my desk while Casper was still sitting on the couches. He leaped to his feet as we entered. Ansley. He ran over to us and tried to grab my sister. I took a protective stance in front of her and pushed the young alpha back. You will not touch my sister, I growled at him. Please, King Cassius. I just need to talk to her. I am not my father. He pleaded with me. Sit. I pointed to the couches. Now. The young alpha reluctantly returned to the couch he had been sitting on. My father walked over to me and smiled softly at Ansley. She looked away from him. Their relationship had taken a big hit since everything had come to light. Ansley, sit behind my desk while Dad and I speak with your mate." She nodded. Dad and I stood in front of Casper. He looked up at us. "I am not my father," he stated clearly. "You do not believe in beating your mate?" I asked him as I folded my arms against my chest. "And no, I do not." He tried to get me to be like him. To treat women like trash. To beat them if they did anything wrong. My father is a monster. I watched him kill my mother. All she did was glance at another pack member. And my father tore her to pieces. Tears brimmed in his eyes as he spoke. "Why should we believe you, Casper?" my father asked him. "You lied to my son earlier." The poor kid slid off the couch and got onto his knees. "Please, your majesties, you have to believe me. Please. I swear to the goddess I will never treat Ansley like my father treated my mother or Nicole. Never. Ever. She will be cherished like the queen she is." I glanced at my father. "What do you think, Dad?" He shrugged and looked at my sister. "Ansley, come here." My sister stood up with a grunt and walked over to us. She glared at my father and tapped her foot on the ground. Casper stood up and looked my sister in the eyes. He tried to grab her arm, but she backed away from him. "Ansley, please. Give me a chance. Like I told your father and brother, I am not like my father. I swear to you I will never lay a hand on you in anger. I will never raise my voice. You are my other half. My Luna." My sister looked past him at us. "Do you guys believe him? I think he is sincere." My father replied to her. She sighed. "Fine. I'll give you a chance. But first, you have to take the anti-domestic abuse classes, which are a week long." He nodded. "I'll do anything for you, Ansley." He reached out to touch her. She finally relented and allowed him to touch her hand. I saw their eyes meet as my sister smiled softly at him. "Casper, do you believe you are ready to take over as alpha of your pack?" He nodded. "I have been training to be alpha since I was 7, King Cassius. You can just call me Cassius. For now." I winked at him. "Does your pack have a competent beta?" "Yes, Cassius. He doesn't believe as my father does. But being beta, he couldn't go against my father." "Okay, well, he is going to be in charge of your pack while you finish alpha class and the anti-domestic abuse classes, all right? That will give you time to show my sister that you mean every word that just came out of your mouth. Then she will decide if she will be your Luna or not." My sister smiled at me. "And if you dare touch a single inch of my daughter's body in anger, if you make her cry or hurt her, you will answer to us," my father added as he leaned towards the young alpha. Casper nodded quickly. "I swear to you both." He turned to my sister. "Can we talk for a little bit, alone?" Ansley looked at me, then back to her mate. "Fine," she replied to him. "Cassius, Terence." My dad held up a hand. "Call me Terry, please." Casper snorted. "Okay. But seriously, what is going to happen to my dad? He beat Nicole for years, and depending on how extensive her injuries are, it's likely he will be stripped of his title and imprisoned for many years. He deserves to be executed for what he did to my mother and what he did to Nicole. Neither one of them deserved what happened to them. I sighed. We can't do anything about what happened to your mother without evidence, unfortunately. What if your doctors can examine her remains? She is buried in the Pack Cemetery. Can't they like to figure out how she died from her bones? You have my permission to dig her up. My father snorted. You watch too much TV, kid. Dad, I growled at him. I will send one of our medical examiners to your pack, and they'll dig up your mother, and depending on their findings, your father will be severely punished. I'll call Beta Jeffrey and let him know all about this, Casper stated. But first, I want to talk to Ansley. He smiled at my sister. Oh, go on, you two. My father smiled at my sister. Ansley, I am so sorry. She threw her arms around my dad and hugged him. It's okay, Dad. I love you. I love you too, Princess. My father kissed her cheek. Ansley allowed Casper to clasp her hand, and he leads her out of my office. I blew out a long sigh. This has been a long day, and it's not even lunch time. My father laughed and clapped my shoulder. No, Sherlock. He looked me in the eyes. And can I say congratulations on the pup? I knew my boy could do it. Thanks, Dad. Speaking of, I better check on Gemma. Then I have to come back here to hear about what Deke found at Silver Paw's pack house. I groaned. Being king is hard sometimes. Laughter erupted from my father. Sometimes. That is hard all of the time, son. And I am so glad I'm not the one doing it anymore. You are an asterisk, I said as he walked out of the office. He just flipped the bird at me while laughing. Sighing, I walked out of my office and headed back to the hospital to see my beautiful mate, the mother of my kingdom's future. Gemma's POV. I couldn't help but laugh as Cassius walked out of the hospital room, snarking at Angela. She just laughed as he walked away. She then turned back to me and smiled. I love giving him a hard time. She pulled a chair over to the bed. Do you feel all right? My chest hurts from where he punched me, but otherwise, I am fine. Well, I better examine you, so King Worrywart doesn't yell at me. She winked at me as I lifted my shirt for her. There was an ugly bruise, and I winced as she gently ran her hand over the area. King Worrywart, I laughed, which made my chest hurt a bit. I have a feeling that is going to be his personality the next 6 months. Angela chuckled. Oh, I don't doubt it. She finished her exam. I don't think you need X-rays. Your bruise appears to be already healing. You must have a strong wolf. Well, she is a white wolf, and yes, she is very strong, I said as Leonora made a small whimper sound in the back of my mind. You stay here till Cass comes back for you. I am going to help the other doctor with that poor Luna Izzy brought in. Angela frowned slightly and shook her head. She stood up and left the room, leaving me alone to stare at the wall. How come you didn't say anything about the pup, Leonora? I asked my wolf. Pups, she stated, which did not entirely surprise me. I knew Cassius and Enoch would want to tell you. It's a male pride thing. I rubbed my belly and sighed. Part of me was scared. My first pregnancy had been scary, and I had almost lost my life. I'm a little jealous that he knew before me. My wolf laughed. We have to give them this one thing, Gemma. There was a light knock on the door as Izzy walked into the room. She sat on the chair Angela had been occupying. The doctors are examining Nicole. That poor girl has been through hell. She shook her head. Her eyes looked at my belly. May I? I know it's early, but I nodded as she gently placed her hand on my stomach. I can't wait to meet my grandchild. She smiled warmly. Grandchildren, I smiled at her. Her eyes widened as her smile broadened. All the more for me to spoil out of. I clasped her hand as we enjoyed the moment. I took a deep breath. Is it strange that I am scared even though I have been through this before? Izzy shook her head. Of course not, dear. I lost 2 pups between Cassius and Ansley, so when I found out I was pregnant with Ansley, I was terrified I would lose her. Tear brimmed in her eyes. I'm sorry to hear that, Izzy. I squeezed her hand. I nearly lost my life giving birth to Nicky. My heart stopped a minute after he was out of me. I sighed sadly. The first 2 months. I was sick all of the time, and then the last 4 I wasn't able to hardly walk around. I shook my head. My mother and the doctors said it was because getting pregnant outside of the mate bond rarely ever ends well. She nodded. I have heard that too. Most of those pregnancies end in miscarriage or stillbirth, and a lot of times, the mother also dies. You being of 2 strong alpha lines is probably how you managed to survive. It's sad that the goddess views babies like Nicky as mistakes. But he isn't a mistake to me. She patted my hand. Our pups are never mistakes, Gemma. The goddess has a plan for all of us. Your boy is destined for greatness, just like these 2. Her explanation made me smile. I miss him so much. I feel like a bad mother not being with him. Tears flowed freely out of my eyes. You are not a bad mother, dear. You'll see him at your coronation. Yeah, a day or 2, then he'll be sent off again because Cassius can't stand looking at him, I cried bitterly. As much as I loved him, that fact still made me resent him. Nicky is the sweetest, kindest little boy. He shouldn't be punished because of something his father and I did. Angela walked into the room. Nicole is asking for you too. She had a frown on her face. It's worse than we thought, isn't it? I asked her. She nodded. Some of the things she told me her so-called mate did to her. Angela trailed off. I just can't imagine how she survived. Izzy and I stood up and followed Angela down the hall to another room. Nicole was sitting on the edge of a bed wearing a pair of shorts and a tank top. We both cringed at seeing her bruises and the scars. Werewolves rarely ever scar, but she had multiple scars. He burned me with silver, she said as we walked into the room. Her brown eyes watched as Izzy and I walked into the room, and both sat down. Nicole stretched her arms out. I know I am ugly, but it feels nice not to be wearing long sleeves for once. You are not ugly, Nicole, I said to her. You are strong. You will get through this. Blake will never hurt you again because he is never getting out of that cell alive. I explained to her. I don't know how to ever thank you both for this. She started to cry. I thought that killing myself was my only escape. She held out her arms, and we saw the faint scars from her cutting herself. Blake would have the pack doctors bring me back, and then he'd promise to be good to me. I would believe him and go right back to him. She sobbed. You know he killed our daughter. She was born prematurely because of a severe beating he gave me. He thought she was weak, so he smothered her right in front of me. Her pain screams as her life was extinguished still haunt me. I miscarried 3 other pups because of him, and now I can't have any more because of the scars in my uterus. My heart clenched for this woman. I wanted to rip Blake Reynolds to pieces myself for what he did. Not only for beating her but killing his flesh and blood. I hoped to the gods that Cassius had executed painfully. He did not deserve mercy. Izzy and I silently listened to her. I'm sorry for unloading this all on you too, Nicole sniffled as Izzy handed her a box of tissue. It's been a long time since I was able to just talk to anyone. You talk all you want, dear. No one here will ever make you hold back. We are all here to help, Izzy assured her. She then stiffened as her eyes momentarily glazed over. My daughter Ansley is out front with her mate. He wants to talk to you. Would it be okay if he came in? Nicole nodded at her. They will be right in. A moment later, Ansley walked in with Casper. His eyes went wide as he saw the bruises and scars on Nicole's body. He took a deep breath and knelt in front of her on the bed. Nicole, I am so sorry for what my father did to you. I wish I could have helped. Nicole placed her hand on Casper's shoulders. Don't apologize for him, Casper. You are not responsible for his actions. But I should have tried to help, but you are a victim of his also. I saw him beat you. She cupped Casper's face. He sighed heavily. He is dead. Whether Cassius has him executed or not, I will kill him myself. I vow to you as Alpha of Smoky Mountain Pack. You are welcome to come home whenever you want. Nicole took a deep breath. Thank you, Casper. But that was never my home. It was a prison. I will not be returning there. He nodded and stood up. I understand. I will have your belongings sent to wherever you decide to go. Thank you, Casper, Nicole smiled up at him. I hope you make a good alpha. Casper walked over to Ansley. I have to go back to alpha training. Will you have dinner with me later? Ansley sighed as she looked at her mother and I. What do you think, Mom? Ansley, dearest, I think the boy is trying, Izzy replied to her daughter. Okay, Casper. I'll see you later. He smiled and leaned down to kiss her cheek. Bye, Ansley, he turned to the rest of us. Have a good day, ladies. He then left the room, and I heard him talking to Cassius down the hall. Then my king appeared in the doorway of the room. He frowned when he saw Nicole. He sighed heavily. Luna Nicole, on behalf of the kingdom, I apologize for the pain you suffered. His blue eyes flicked to me. May I speak with you, Gemma? I laughed. Yes, Your Majesty. He rolled his eyes and walked out of the room. Nicole, I am going to get him to look up the number for your father's pack so you can call them. Thank you, Queen Gemma. Can I possibly get something to eat? She asked. Oh goddess, yes, we'll get you anything you want, I replied to her as I stood up. Tell me what you would like to eat, dear, Izzy said to her as I walked out of the room. I looked down the hall for Cassius, and then I was pulled into a dark room and picked up and pinned to the wall. His lips smashed against mine as I wrapped my arms around his neck and my legs around his hips. I thought you wanted to talk, I managed to breathe out. His blue eyes peered into mine as the kiss deepened. He nibbled my bottom lip and allowed his tongue entrance into my mouth. He pulled away from me slightly and peered into my eyes. How are you, my queen? I'm good, my king, I replied to him. He pressed his forehead against mine. You don't feel nauseous or anything like that? I smiled at him. It's too early for that. Give it a couple of weeks, and then I'll be yakking every morning for 2 months. He let me down off the wall and lead me over to a bed. We sat down, and he wrapped an arm around my shoulder while his other hand pressed against my belly. I need to go speak with Deke about the situation at Silver Paw. But I needed to come to check on you, he pressed his lips to the side of my head. We are fine, Cass. All 3 of us. His eyes widened. Twins. I nodded. Leonora confirmed it. I can't say I am surprised. I have been dreaming of twins for the last week or so, he said while resting his chin on the top of my head. Blonde hair and violet eyes like mine? I asked. How did you know? I rested my head on his chest. I think I have been having the same dream. I'm afraid they may both be white wolves. He chuckled lightly. I have the same feeling. I didn't know males could be white wolves. It is possible. Of course, there are much rarer than the females but far more powerful, I explained to him from my limited knowledge of white wolves. I wish I knew more about white wolves since I am one. We have books on them in the archives, and I am sure at least one of the elders can help us. He kissed the top of my head lightly. We got this, baby. Are you going to execute Blake Reynolds? I should have killed him on the spot for touching you, he growled lowly. But it's starting to look like that. He killed Casper's mother, he tightened his hold on me. I just can't imagine what would drive an alpha to harm the goddess's greatest gift. I can't even stand to see you with bruises on your beautiful body. To think of even inflicting pain on you. His voice broke slightly. I stroked his arm as I thought of how lucky I was. Despite the situation with Nikki, I had a good mate. I knew I could convince him to allow my son to come live in the palace, even part-time. Jeremy and I would work out some sort of custody arrangement. I love you, Cassius, I whispered and crawled onto his lap. I held his head in my hands and brought my lips to his. He wrapped his arms around me as we kissed. Our lips were hungrily devouring each other. I could feel him getting hard. I rubbed myself over his growing bulge, causing him to growl. Don't start something you aren't willing to finish. He breathed out as I ran my hands through his hair. He placed kisses down my neck and sucked on my mark. I rolled my head back and moaned. There was a knock on the door of the darkroom we were in. Angela poked her head in. These rooms are for patients, not horny kings, she smirked as Cassius growled at her. Shut up, Angie, he glared at her. I am the king, and I can make out with my queen in whatever room I want. Angela snorted. Whatever, Cass. But seriously, I need this room. There are a couple of warriors coming in that got injured during training. I slid off of Cassius's lap as he stood up. What happened? Why did they get injured? I don't know the exact details, but from what I was told, they were fighting over a she-wolf and got carried away. Cassius nodded. Well, I want details. Angela sighed. Then ask Maria or Ward. I'm just a doctor. I will then. He turned to me and held out his hand. I clasped it, and we walked out into the hallway as medics rushed in with 2 stricken warriors. Ward, the head warrior, ran in behind them. Cassius stopped him. Details, Ward. The bulky warrior leaned against the wall. One of them rejected a female who then got her second chance mate in the other. Then the first one got jealous even though he rejected her, and well, Ward sighed. Why didn't anyone stop them? Cassius demanded. The head warrior shrugged. I wasn't there, Your Majesty. Well, then find out who was and get the details, please. I can't have my warriors killing each other. Do I make myself clear? Abundantly, sir. Ward bowed and then left the hospital. Cassius took a deep breath. I need to go find Deke and Maria now. Have you had lunch yet? He shook his head. No time. I wrapped my arms around him. My king needs to eat too. His hand ran down my cheek. What are you going to do? I am going to go eat lunch because I am starving, then I have Luna class. He laughed. You are going voluntarily? Don't tell my mother. Yes, I need a distraction from today. He leaned down and kissed me. I am taking you out to dinner tonight. Some place cliché and fancy, you know everything you hate. I sighed, if you insist. I insist, and I want you to wear a dress, that dark purple one that I have imagined you in for a week. I rolled my eyes, is there any other torture you can think of for me? He squeezed me. Oh, I'm sure I can think of something. But please wear the dress. I have practically nut myself thinking of you in it. I shook my head. You are impossible, King Cassius. But fine, I will wear the dress for you. I might even put on makeup. A seductive growl rolled out of his chest, not too much. That face of yours is beautiful how it is. Enhancing it isn't fair to the other females. He gave me one last kiss before releasing me and lightly tapping me. Take care of my pups. He flashed me a smile before walking away from me. I heard giggling and looked to see Izzy standing a few feet away from me with Nicole and Ansley. Nicole had her hand over her mouth. The king is a hopeless romantic, isn't he? She asked. You have no idea, Nicole. I smiled at her. I am about to go to lunch. We are going with, dear. Izzy smirked at me and clasped my arm. Did my ears deceive me, or did you just say you were going to Luna class without my having to force you? I shrugged. Oh, did I say that? I meant something else. We all laughed as we made our way out of the hospital and towards the dining room. Delilah was sitting alone at the table. Hey, Delilah, where is Ian? She sighed. He ran off with some of the other young alphas. She watched as Izzy sat Nicole in Terry's seat. "Who is that?" "That is Nicole, a new friend of ours," I replied. I didn't know how much to reveal about her. An Omega came over to take out lunch orders. She bowed to me. "What would you like for lunch, Your Majesty?" I thought for a second. "I'd like a big old roast beef sandwich with lots of onions and chips. Oh, and cheesecake." I heard Izzy snicker. "It's too early for cravings, dear." I shrugged. "I am starving." The Omega laughed and turned her attention to Izzy and Nicole. "Order whatever you want, Nicole," Izzy said to her. "Cravings?" Delilah smiled at me. "Are you?" I nodded. "Yep." Delilah clapped her hands and squealed. "I am so happy for you. Our babies are going to grow up together. I can't wait." "Me too, Delilah." I turned to Nicole. "After lunch, I'll get the number to your father's pack. Then we can go to my room and give them a call." "Thank you, Gemma. I hope they still want to talk to me." She sighed sadly. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.